for inviting me. My name is Barbara Willaarts. I am a researcher working on the one hand in the International Institute of Applied Systems Analysis, which is an international research organization based in Austria. And I sit within the water security research group, and my work is mostly dealing with aspects related to water resources management and governance. And over the past 10 years, more or less, I've been working also on issues related to Nexus. In addition to this, I also work as a senior researcher for an iCatalist. I think the basic elements that we need to take into account is that if we really want to do science that goes beyond the scientific impact and it really promotes impact on policy and social impact, stakeholders need to be partners in the projects and do the research more demand-driven, because I think that there are many questions that we as scientists think that are relevant, but when you go down into the realities, you find that these are relevant questions, but maybe not the most urgent ones. And some other questions that we can actually answer are actually quite a priority for stakeholders. So I think that the key is to engage more from the beginning of the project, even in the design of the projects and in the definition of the research questions with the stakeholders. And even more, I would say that, and this is actually the core of transdisciplinary science, when we talk about co-production, we talk about knowledge co-production. So science hasn't got all the answers to all the solutions and the challenges that we need to address. We need to bring as well the knowledge from practitioners, that they know from experience, what works, what doesn't work, and why sometimes. And I think we also need to acknowledge other type of knowledge, which are maybe, cultural knowledges or other type of experiential knowledges, which are also very, very important and barely taken into account, in the research space and actually in the policy making space as well. They are barely considered sometimes. When we say about bridging this gap and doing this stakeholder engagement and bridging this science to policy gap, this is easier said than done, because it takes a very long time just to build the trust and the understanding with your stakeholders. And I'm not saying just putting a list of the stakeholders, meeting with them, identifying what are their demands, in which way, in our capacities, our tools or our knowledge could actually be helpful for that. Once there is a mutual understanding between what your stakeholders want and what you can offer, because we are asked, the wish list, and of course we cannot do everything. So, but once there is this exchange about, okay, what do you need and what we can do, I think this is now the basis to actually do something that is really impactful, and it will impact the local policies, because the awareness has increased and the trust, that we can work together as well. So I insist that this is easier said than done. A lot of funding is required, but I think that we are going to fail if we don't progress into that area, and if we don't start realizing, that it's only by bringing those that are, that have to actually implement, the solutions and have to deal with the problems that we have and make the decisions are not involved. So I think it is absolutely essential.